That was one way to start the playoffs, wasn't it? So we're about 20 minutes away from the puck dropping between Chicago and the Oilers, and Carolina and the Rangers showed us how it's done. And Carolina Hurricanes, it's not technically playoffs, but they're playing like it's playoffs. And it was interesting to see John Forsland calling the game for NBC. That was weird, wasn't it? And yet for Carolina fans, that had to be sort of reassuring. Like, well, it sucks that Forsland's left the Canes, and yet the first game he's calling is a Canes game. So that works. And, Carolina wearing these jerseys with home ice advantage, as it is when you're in Toronto. This was quite the game. Lundqvist in the net for the Rangers, and of course, we won't know why Shesterkin wasn't playing, but he wasn't even dressed. Now, I'm going to say right now, based on the NHL yesterday saying there were 0 positive tests, that it's some kind of an injury. Now, whether it's something that he suffered during their last game, or if it's a nagging injury from before, I don't know. But without Shesterkin, that changes things tremendously. But it's too late for me to change any predictions. We're in it. If Carolina wins this series, good on them. Carolina in the playoffs, regardless, if they end up taking out the Rangers, I won't go against them in round one. You have my word on that. Whoever they play in round one, I'm like, all right. So the Carolina Hurricanes don't lose in round one. So, yeah. Brady Shea drilled fast in the first minute of the game. And it felt like that set the tone. And it knocked Jesper Fast right out of the game, too. Slavin then gets a goal from Teravainen and Aho at 1 minute and 1 second. So big hit and a goal right away. Jacob Slavin's first career postseason goal. And Fast was down the tunnel and gone. Gauthier then takes a penalty. The Canes go to a power play. If you wanted to see power plays, this game was the game for you. Now, people are going to say they were chintzy penalties and they were ticky-tack penalties. I think it was more these guys haven't played in a long time, and there was some play going on here where I think they were... Yeah, were there a couple that were maybe cheap? Of course, but most of them were legit. Strome, during that penalty kill, then pressured the Canes right into taking a penalty to pull themselves off the power play. Strome then had a fight with Williams. So Justin Williams jumping up and getting into a fight, and this was all related to Fast being taken out of the game. It felt like the emotions were really high at that point. It's 2:48 into the game. 2 minutes and 48 seconds into the game. Yeah. More scrappy offsetting penalties at the 4:42 mark. Trocheck then hit the post. The shots were still technically one apiece at 7 minutes. So as back and forth as this was, and as exciting as it was, and as highlight reel as it was, there weren't very many shots getting through, and when they did, they hit a post or they just weren't quite on the net. Lundqvist denied Aho after a great pass from Svechnikov. Svechnikov had a very good game. His passing game is on point, and Aho, yeah, this could be quite the run. Rangers got a needed power play then off of a McGinn penalty. That didn't go anywhere. Where am I? All right, Martinuk then drilled Smith in the Rangers' corner. Brendan Smith was lucky he tucked his head, or else he might have died on that hit. It wasn't a dirty hit. It was just, what are you doing that for? More on Smith's just on ice awareness, that kind of thing. Kreider then takes a penalty. Canes go to the power play. That's already their third, and it was nowhere near their last. Lundqvist stopped Slavin on a point shot. The Rangers, it looked like were on their heels. Definitely slow to wake up and get into this game. With 5.6 seconds left, Svechnikov takes a penalty, so the Rangers go to a power play, which starts the second period. In the second period, a really strong penalty kill for the Canes. Their penalty kill was excellent today. Things stayed pretty chippy at the start of the second period. These teams really don't seem to like each other very much. Trocheck then was guilty of a trip. The Rangers go back to the power play. Kakko nearly got one, and Mrazek makes a save. And I have to say, I thought Kakko was their best forward. You guys can let me know how much you hate that in the comment section below. You can argue in favor of Zibanejad, but I think Kakko had an excellent game. I think he looked great out there, almost like it's been 4 months off and it's like he's heading into season 2. Panarin to Mika then almost connected. Lundqvist then robbed Foegele. Foegele had a good game as well. The Canes get a power play fast. At that point, it's announced by Boucher won't return. Aho then gets a goal during the power play, 15 seconds into the power play from Svechnikov and Vatanen. 6 minutes and 29 seconds. That makes it 2-0. Fleury then took a penalty. The Rangers take a power play, and then it's 4-on-4 a minute later. And at that point, I went, you know what? I'm done. And I just put penalty parade, just keeps going. Because I was like, I'm going to fill the board just with who took a penalty and who's on the power play. And it took the flow out of the game to the point where, when the announcers are mentioning, hopefully we get some 5-on-5 play now to get the flow back. Mrazek was playing well, I thought. Some solid defense by the Canes as well, keeping the Rangers to the outside. But Zibanejad would score from Lindgren and Kreider at 14:26. It was a deflection. You were not going to get a puck past Mrazek today that he could see. You were not going to get a direct shot into the net. It had to be a deflection, and it was a nice one by Zibanejad. Puck changes direction, and Mrazek couldn't have been able to stop that one. The Rangers then got their 7th power play. 7th. We're not done the second period yet, and the Rangers got their 7th power play. With 1 minute and 13 seconds left, Carolina gets their 5th power play. It's 12 power plays through 2 periods. It did settle down in the third. And it sounded to me, and I want guys to let me know in the comment section below, am I the only one that thought Brian Boucher was cheering for the Rangers? Like, he kept talking about Ranger players and these guys getting into the game and, this Ranger and that Ranger. And then at the start, he was like, well, a chance for the Rangers to come back and tie it. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? Why do we keep saying Rangers? This is a nationwide broadcast. Talk about Carolina, too. So, at least that was me. If I'm off base, let me know in the comment section below. I like Boucher as an announcer, I do. But it felt to me like he was really cheering for the Rangers. Lundqvist had been solid to that stage, and he really was solid today. Zibanejad had a break that was saved by Mrazek. Now, when I say break, it was a 2-on-1 break, and he took the shot from out pretty far out. And the Rangers were getting shots from a distance a lot. Now, I'm not sure whether that was perceived weakness they saw with Mrazek on the long shots rather than close in, whether it was the defense just forcing them to take the long shots, or maybe you're looking for a deflection. Any of the three, I would think. And Lundqvist then denied Gardner. As Lundqvist continued to have a good game, I will not say that if Shesterkin had played today, the result would have been different. I'm just not going to say it. Kakko, again, looked excellent in the third period. Playing very, very well. Much more confidence on the puck. Much better player than he was at the time of the pause. Just looked dialed in. David Quinn needs to give him more ice time and really let him go out there and dictate things in game 2, I think. Anyways. McKaig took a penalty. Canes go to the power play. And they don't score on the power play. It's technically as the power play's ended. It's one of those ones, not too long after it's over. I think it was as the power play had ended. Marty Necas gets the goal from Niederreiter and Slavin at 10:51, deflected it off Mark Stahl's skate. So Mark Stahl, you could see it right away, like, crap. And it's that feeling as a defenseman, like you're trying to make a play and then you knock it in your own net. You're like, well, that wasn't what I had in mind. That wasn't the plan. Aho was then denied from making it 4-1. Nice goal line stand by Lundqvist. Again, it's 3-1 at this stage. I'm not going to say that Lundqvist was the reason it was 3-1. Geeky then nearly got one. Rangers were being outplayed badly at this stage of the game. It was Carolina's game. The Canes go to the power play with 3 minutes and 2 seconds left. That's their 7th. So that was their 7th and final power play. We had 14 power plays in this game. Just ridiculous. And then Mark Stahl gets his redemption. He scores from Zibanejad and Panarin shorthanded at 18:06. So Coach Quinn realizes we're down by 2. He puts the big guns on the ice during the penalty kill, and it works. He then calls a timeout immediately thereafter. And they did their best. They pulled the goalie with 50 seconds left. They got some pressure at the very end there. Nice forechecking, though, by Foegele. Nice overall defense by the Carolina Hurricanes to make it as difficult to get into their zone as possible after the goalie pull. and they killed it off. Carolina's up 1-0 on the New York Rangers. For the New York Rangers, now you've got 2 games. You've got 2. You are allowed to lose 2 more games, and then your season's over if you do. The one thing that occurred to me while I was watching this, I thought, if the Rangers won the draft lottery and got Lafreniere, and you put him and Kakko together, and you've already got Zibanejad and Panarin, that's a pretty good lineup right there. So, the shots were 12-4 Carolina in the first, 15-11 Rangers in the second, 14-7 in favor of Carolina in the third. Final shots 37-26 in favor of Carolina. You can't give Carolina 37 shots, considering they only had I think 2 halfway through the first period. Yeah, you can't look at this and say, oh well, Lundqvist, who saved 34 out of 37, was the problem. And Mrazek, 25 saves on 26 shots. Excellent game for him. Hits were 40-27 for the Rangers, which makes sense because Carolina had the puck most of the time, it seemed. Power plays 0 for 7 for the Rangers. That's a problem. But 1 for 7 for Carolina. While it's not great, it's still 1 goal better than the Rangers. So there you go. Game 1 is done. Carolina comes through and wins the first of the play-in games that we're seeing. And that was a fun game. These players are going to end up being kind of gassed in second periods and through certain parts of third periods because they haven't played meaningful games since March. So this is going to happen in other series as well. But for the Rangers, they've got to dial it up. They've got to get their energy level up. They were a step behind Carolina most of this game. And with the way Aho and Svechnikov were playing, this could be a sweep. But again, we will see how things work out. They play again, and it'll be a noon start Eastern when they play on Monday. And Carolina again has last change. They may very well be wearing these jerseys again. We'll see how things go. Let me know your thoughts regarding this game in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.